Good morning, this is Faith at Faith and Books, and I am here in the beautiful Outer Banks, but you can't tell because I'm just sitting in my car. There's a breeze. Because I'm at a beach house that is full of kids and other people running in and out, and I wanted to record on the balcony, with the view of the ocean, but I can't handle the wind and all the noise, so you wouldn't be able to hear me, I don't think. So I'm just back in my car making a video. I'm very excited because I finally finished a book. It was a nice thick book. It's the Eustace Diamonds by Anthony Trollope, and I've read this as part of the reading group that which is on Voxer that Christina at Knitting Books, etc. started for this year. She is reading all the Palliser novels by Anthony Trollope, and there's 6 of them, so she's doing the first one January, February, the second one March, April, and then this third one in the series was May, June. Now, I did not participate in the earlier part of the year, January, February, March, April, because I had already recently read the first 2 novels in the series. So I read Can You Forgive Her, I think back in September. And then I started Phineas Finn in October. And the reason I did that was I have this thing where I was having a grandson that they planned to name Phineas. So I went to read Phineas Finn in October. He was born October 25th. I just finished Can You Forgive Her then. It takes me about 2 months to read each novel. I just started it, but then I kind of put it down for a little while, and then I wound up finishing it by listening to it on LibriVox, which was quite good. The reader was very good, so I really enjoyed Phineas Finn. And so I didn't participate earlier this year, but then I had not read the Eustace Diamonds before, and so I did jump in on her group in May and June. And I just really enjoyed this novel a lot. I had no idea what it was about. And it's just quintessential Trollope, in my opinion, where he creates all these characters, and they're so complicated. They're both good and bad, and you just follow them through. Sometimes they're annoying. You just change and grow with them throughout the book. And I don't know how he does it. It's kind of magical the way he can do that. So I love the main character, even though she was a bad person. She was not a good person. I think in real life I would have hated her, but on the page, watching how things fall out for her, the way she thinks, you kind of feel sorry for her, and I found myself rooting for her in a way. Even at the same time, I was really nervous for everybody else, because she's the type of person that she will destroy anyone who's near her. So anyway, it was a really, really good story. It's basically about these 3 women. The main woman is Lizzie Eustace. She was Lizzie Greystock, and then she married Lord Eustace, who was dying. They didn't know when he was going to die, but he was dying. Lizzie is very beautiful, and she's just an accomplished flirt and very poor, and so she's very manipulative about. That's what I like about Trollope too, is there's always that tension between money and love, or money and integrity, and you get all sorts of different gradations of that. Some people are out and out manipulative about it, and other people are torn, they're tortured by it, but they're not bad people, and it really takes a lot out of them to try to reconcile that tension between needing money and wanting to marry for love. So anyway, so Lizzie Eustace, so she's quite manipulative, and she marries this rich man. He dies, so she gets money. So she's very young. I think she's only 23, and she grew up, without money. And so now she suddenly got all this money, and she's very pretty, and she's completely self-interested. She doesn't care about other people. Everything is seen through this filter of self-interest. So she's kind of tight-fisted, and always doing things, looking at what's in it for her. right? Every relationship, it's about what she can get out of it. So anyway, she gets engaged to Lord Fawn, who's a figure from I guess it was Phineas Finn, and he is a gentleman through and through. He's rather timid. He's not the sharpest, not the sharpest tool in the shack, but he's or whatever the expression is, tool in the box. But he's not unintelligent, and he's got principles. So I found myself feeling very sorry for Lord Fawn throughout this book. And then she's got these two other lovers. She's got, or potential lovers, lovers in the sense of Victorian literature. There's Frank Greystock, and then her cousin. And then there's there's Lord George, who comes in later, a little bit later in the book. Anyway, so she's just playing with these three potential husbands and trying to manipulate, because she realizes she can't take the vagaries of life on her own. She wants the protection of marriage, of having a husband. So it's quite interesting. And then there's two other women, and it's kind of a sub-stories, but they're also about getting engaged and this tension between money and love. And so there's Lucy Morris, who gets engaged to Frank Greystock, who's kind of interested. He kind of regrets that he got engaged to her because she has no money whatsoever, and he really needs money. And he's kind of attracted to his cousin, who does have money. So he's an interesting character. I don't know if he was good enough for Lucy, frankly. And then the other relationship is between this friend of Lizzie, Eustace, named, they all start with L, Lucinda Roanoke. And she's very, very poor but pretty. And there's this Lord Griffin, who's friends with Lord George, who he's just in it for the chase, because she has no desire to get married whatsoever, and men are just flocking around her because she's pretty. And he decides her indifference is a challenge to him, so he's like a hunter, he's after his prey. And she winds up getting engaged to him, and that's a really tragic story. But it's all about this tension between, having to have an income, having to have money, and marrying for love, and what happens to all these different people. So it's a really interesting story. It's classic Trollope. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought the writing was spectacular. There is one big caveat, though. Part of the plot is basically anti-Semitic. It has to do with jewelers and thieves, and then in the end there's a character that is portrayed as, just like the most stereotypical portraiture or caricature of a Jewish person, being just sort of conniving and kind of oily, and it's really, really bad stereotypes. What's that? Anyway, there's a street right next to me. So that part was distasteful. But on the other hand, this oily, conniving, kind of phony person, in him, Lizzie has met her match. So she's just as bad. So, but it's the way Trollope expresses it, and I guess it was okay in Victorian times. It's very anti-Semitic, so that's a turn-off. That to me was the biggest flaw in the book. But the whole plot and the way it's developed, the pacing and all the different characters, the writing, it's just, everything else is just wonderful. It's just really, really good. So yeah, I would recommend it with that caveat that you have to expect that there's going to be some anti-Semitism in it. But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to the next book. In the Palliser series just loosely connects certain characters. So in here you do reconnect a little bit with Lady Glencora and Mr. Palliser and the Duke of Omnium, and a little bit of Madame Max, what's her last name? Whatever her last name is, and Lord Chiltern and people like that. So you do, and Lord Fawn, of course. And I love the character. I love Lucy Morris, and and she reminded me a little bit of Lily Dale, if you're familiar with The Small House at Allington. And then she also crops up again in the last Chronicle of Barset. But I love The Small House at Allington. Lily Dale from that book. Lucy Morris reminded me a little bit of her. What was I going to say? Something else. It flew out of my head. Anyway, a good book. I highly recommend it. I'm looking forward to reading the next one, which is, I have to buy, I don't know if I'll have to buy a copy. It's Phineas Redux, I think, is the next one. I'm pretty sure. Does it say? Yeah, Phineas Redux. Now, Phineas Finn, by the end of Phineas Finn, I was pretty annoyed with him because he was just the flightiest guy. He was always he was in love with being in love kind of guy, and he wasn't very steady. So we'll see if he matures in Phineas Redux. And then the next one is the Prime Minister, and then the one following that is the Duke's Children. So anyway, highly recommend it with that one caveat. I just think this is brilliant Trollope, and if you love Trollope, you will enjoy this book. And it is a tiny bit political, but not enough to bog anything down or make you think that you have to know about politics at the time. I don't think. Anyway, so 2 thumbs up for the Eustace Diamonds by Anthony Trollope. All right, take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Happy reading.